Hey, you. Why the long face? I know the All-Star break has been tough on you. But guess what, kids? Guess who's back? And as a special gift, how about a date with the Phenom? Steven Strasburg has lit up the baseball universe. And tonight, the Marlins get him. That means you get him with Marlins and Nationals. The second half of the 2010 Major League Baseball season for the Marlins starts tonight. And what a way to start it. The Marlins at 4 under, an all-star, old friends, the Fish and the Nationals, and a great pitching matchup. Ricky Nolasco gets the ball for the Fish. And yes, Steven Strasburg makes his first South Florida appearance. We're ready to go in the second half. Hi, everybody. Tommy Hutton on vacation for the next 3 games. Jeff Conine will be pinch hitting. And Niner, for the Marlins, it's a 10-game homestand. They're 4 under. And with the trading deadline about 2 weeks away, crucial 10 games for the Fish.
Very crucial. They really need to make a significant move right now in this National League East. Pretty far out of it, but still room to go. There's still a lot of games left to play. But with that trading deadline looming, I'm sure Beinfest and Hill and Sampson up there in the front office are watching this very closely.
Okay, so that's the storyline going into this homestand. The headliner, of course, tonight is Steven Strasburg. You've read about him. You've seen him on television. Tonight, the Marlins get their first taste of him. Jeff, what are they up against?
They're up against some of the best stuff in Major League Baseball right now. We talked about it earlier about fastball, 97 to 99, hits 100 occasionally. Unbelievable curveball. He's got a very good changeup and command of all those pitches, which is the most significant thing he's got. Plus, upstairs, his mental capacity so far at 22 years old is way ahead of his time.
The Marlins will be facing this right-hander with a little bit of a different lineup. Edwin Rodriguez over the break said he must have written down 25, 30 different lineup combinations. The one thing he has settled on is moving Dan Uggla into the 4 spot behind Hanley Ramirez, and a lot of that has to do with how Uggla hit on the road trip.
He's done outstanding. The last 17 games, he's hit 400, over 500 men in scoring position, and you see how Dan Uggla has kind of evolved his game over the last couple of years. He doesn't strike out nearly as much as he used to. He uses that right side of the diamond much more than he used to, and I think he's become more of a complete hitter, and I think he'll do well in that 4 spot.
And Edwin, when he sat him down and told him you're moving up to 4, said, you're going to be the cleanup hitter, but don't change what you've been doing for the last couple of weeks. Now, Steven Strasburg has been the guy that's getting all the headlines and all the hype going into this one. But very quietly, Ricky Nolasco is on a nice roll. He has won his last 4 starts. You get a sense that the Marlin hitters are anxious to face Strasburg, and I think Ricky is as well.
You know what? Ricky's a competitor. I like the way he takes the ball when he goes to the mound. He's all business. You watch him in his interviews. He doesn't smirk. He doesn't smile. It's 100% business, and I think he's going to enjoy this matchup tonight and try to stick it to him.
All right, you can smile, but no smirking tonight, all right? The Marlins getting set to take on the Washington Nationals. The second half is ready to start. Steven Strasburg even drew a crowd out in the bullpen. When we get back, a sneak peek inside the Marlins, Puerto Rico, as the Fish and the Nationals open up the second half. Great buzz in the ballpark tonight. The Nationals and the Marlins. To get us started, let's head out to left field in Frankfort. Frank?
All right, thanks very much, Rich. Of course, we hope you enjoy the pitching matchup tonight. Steven Strasburg against Ricky Nolasco. That's one reason to watch. Another to stay with us right through Marlins Live postgame. Immediately after the postgame show tonight, we'll be debuting the latest edition of Inside the Marlins. It'll take an exclusive look and give you great access to the Marlins' late June trip to Puerto Rico. Here's a preview of the new Inside the Marlins. On this edition of Inside the Marlins, get exclusive access into the Marlins' voyage to San Juan.
Yeah, we're going to Puerto Rico. Very special since my parents, my dad had never seen me on a Major League uniform, so that's special. And also, you know, having Ed doing as our first Puerto Rican manager and being his third base coach, I think is great for the island and for the sport.
Manager Edwin Rodriguez receives a warm welcome home.
It means a lot. Not only I've been named the first Puerto Rican big league manager, but it's going to be the first Puerto Rican that's going to be managing a ball club in Puerto Rico in front of the people. It means a lot. And when I say it means a lot, I really means a lot for me, and I think it means a lot for the country.
Cool off with the new skipper as we tour his old stomping grounds.
There's a lot of places and a lot of Puerto Rican flags everywhere. I mean, like this one here. I mean, we are very proud.
Take it right here.
The game of baseball transcends language barriers.
Even though we speak English, some of them might not understand us. I mean, you know, they're looking at what I'm doing.
You know, some of these kids one day are going to be taking our spot in the big leagues. So, you know, we love to help in the United States, but we love to help everywhere else, too.
And the fish make a big splash in Puerto Rico. That's tonight, right after the game, Inside the Marlins Puerto Rico, debut edition of the show. For future air dates and times, check our website at foxsportsflorida.com. We think you're going to enjoy that show immediately after Marlins Live postgame tonight. The more important thing for the moment is this guy, Steven Strasburg. His first appearance here at Sun Life Stadium. He'll go against Ricky Nolasco in the opener of this three-game series. Marlins and Nationals. Rich Waltz and Jeff Conine with all the action coming up next.
Rethink possible. Big night at the ballpark. They expect over 25,000 for the Fish and the Nationals. The first of a 10-game homestand. This will be a 3-game weekend series. And it opens with Ricky Nolasco against Steven Strasburg. Here's the Nationals lineup, 39 and 50, managed by Jim Riggleman. Niger Morgan in center field, Christian Guzman at second. Ryan Zimmerman not only has hit the Marlins well, he's hit Ricky well this year as well. Adam Dunn at first base, Josh Willingham in left. Both those guys probably should have been all-stars. They've had very good years. Pudge behind the plate, Roger Bernardina in right. The youngster Ian Desmond is having a tough year defensively at short, and Strasburg hits ninth. Jeff Conine, what have you liked about Ricky Nolasco in the first half?
Well, what I have liked is the way he finished the first half. The last 4 games, he's been very consistent. 7 innings, his last 4 starts, 4 wins. You hope that he carries that through to the second half. He's very inconsistent the first part of the first half. And, you know, we just hope that he finds that spot where he's consistent the rest of the way.
He had the great second half last year. We'll see if that is something he can continue in 2010. Defense brought to you by TGI Fridays. You want to take the defense?
Yes, we got Coughlin, Ross, Stanton out in the outfield, Cantu, Ramirez, Ugla, and Sanchez round out the infield, and the battery, Ricky Nolasco and Ronnie Paulino.
My partner Tommy Hutton has the next 3 days off. Lucky guy.
Where is he lounging around at this point right now? Durango, Colorado?
I would expect in his mountain hideaway.
Wow.
With his feet up on the table and a cold one going right now.
I wish I had a mountain hideaway.
Niger Morgan, Christian Guzman, and Ryan Zimmerman against Ricky Nolasco. Marlins and Nationals. Ricky, in 10 career starts against the Nationals, is 7-2. And it would be nice to keep this guy off base. 20 stolen bases. Morgan goes after the first pitch and pops it up. That's a nice way to start the second half. Paulino makes the catch. 1 pitch, 1 out.
That's a beautiful thing. They always talk about the pitcher's best friend doing a double play, and I think the second best friend is the first pitch out, opening a game.
Here's Guzman now. Guzman, the Nationals have been moving him all over the infield. The guy that was their shortstop at second base tonight. He's got Zimmerman behind him. This is a Nationals team that can score some runs.
They arguably have one of the best 3-4-5 combos in their lineup in the National League, maybe in all of baseball, and Zimmerman, Dunn, and Willingham.
And much like the Marlins' plight, if the Fish don't get going in the next dozen games, that 3-4-5 combo of the Nationals, there are a couple guys in that combo that might be targets in terms of trades. Adam Dunn is a name that's been knocked around. Josh Willingham. I think Ryan Zimmerman is pretty much untouchable.
I would hope so. That guy, he's the kind of the face of this franchise now, and since coming up, you know, with the Nationals and seeing him in his rookie year, you know that he was going to be there for a long time.
Jim Riggleman there. You heard home plate umpire Brian Gorman say no pitch. Guzman clipped Paulino on his backswing. Here's the 1-1. There's the big hammer from Nolasco.
That's, I think, is Ricky's key pitch. He's got to have good control of this curveball. You see him come in the outside corner, the left-handed hitter right there. That's an almost impossible pitch to hit because it starts so far out of the strike zone.
Breaking ball, ground ball. Tough hop. Gabby has it, and Ricky just beats the fleet-footed Guzman to first. And here comes Zimmerman, and this is a matchup, Nolasco against Zimmerman, that more times than not has gone Zimmerman's way. In 24 career at-bats against Ricky, and you see what he's done against the Fish this year. 3 homers, 7 hits, a couple doubles.
A couple of those homers came in the last start that he had here against the Ricky and the Fish.
And that was not an easy start for Nolasco, and there's a fastball that you really don't want to throw up that high because see what happened the last time?
His elevated fastball right there got absolutely crushed, and Tell you what, that is a good piece of hitting right there. Slider low and away, he went with it. And it's not an easy part of the ballpark for right-handed hitter to hit it out of here.
That was a ball, and the count is 1-1. Zimmerman having a solid year, not a spectacular year. He was on the final vote and actually finished second. Did not make the All-Star team. Another great breaking ball for a strike.
His teammate Adam Dunn had quite a good argument for being on the All-Star team also.
Here's the 1-2. That's lined into left field, a base hit. Oftentimes, teams that have records such as the Nationals, 39 and 50, don't get a lot of love from both the fans or the players in the votes. But you've got Zimmerman, who could have been an All-Star and was last year. You've got Dunn, who is having an outstanding year. I mean, his slugging percentage is second in the National League to Joey Votto's. And then you got Willingham, who very quietly has pieced together a solid year.
I believe earlier today I read that Adam Dunn has only made the All-Star team one time, despite having 8 straight seasons where he's hit 20 home runs before the All-Star break.
It's hard to believe. He's been such a consistent run producer in his career.
You look at the back of his bubblegum card, and it's 40 and 100, 40 and 105, 40 and 106, 40 and 100. It's pretty, like you said, very consistent.
Last year, 38, 105. Dunn, ground ball, shift is on. Ugla backhands, flips the second, and everybody is safe. No one's at third, and Paulino's jogging down the line to get there just in case. That's hard to do for Adam Dunn. I guess you would call that an infield single that ended up in right field.
I mean, thread the needle. There was only one little hole that he could get through, and he made it. And that's, where the shift, you're playing the percentages as a manager, putting 3 guys on the right side of the infield, knowing that his tendency is to pull it basically where Dan Ugla is standing out in short right field. Now, if Ugla was in his regular position, that's an easy play.
And you're right about Dunn. He was an All-Star in 2002. And here is Hammer. Not a good year against the Fish, but a good year against a lot of people. One of the things Willingham has done well this year is get on base. His on-base percentage is 3rd best in the National League. And as patient as Dunn can be, then you got Pudge behind him. This is a group that can really chew up pitch counts.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what the average starter lasts against this Nationals team with the way these guys can take walks.
0-1. One of the areas Willingham excelled in May was hitting with runners in scoring position. When he got to June 1st, he was hitting .381 with runners in scoring position. He's got Zimmerman out at second, Dunn at first. Since then, though, Willingham just 176. Good sharp breaking ball from Ricky, and it's 1-2. But Willingham in his career as a Marlin was another model of consistency. Spent 9 years in the Marlins organization.
What a great guy to have on the team, great guy in the clubhouse. He's not an outspoken leader, but he leads by example, and if something needs to be said, he's not afraid to say it.
I think if there's one area, aside from maybe a couple of pitchers in Strasburg and Drew Storen, one area where the Nationals have really improved themselves, it is in that clubhouse. This was a real bad chemistry team at the start of last year.
It was, and I'm kind of surprised that they haven't built on their success they had in the first month of the season. I thought they'd be a little bit more in this thing.
Ricky Nolasco strikes out Josh Willingham. A couple of hits, they're left out there, and the Marlins get their first licks at Steven Strasburg. 99. Chris Coughlin leads it off. Gabby Sanchez is at first base. Hanley Ramirez, of course, coming back from an all-star game and had a great run in the home run derby. There's the switch. Dan Ugla in the cleanup spot. Jorge Cantu feels rejuvenated after the break. Cody Ross in center. Mike Stanton hits 7th. Ronnie Paulino 8th. And Ricky hits 9th. And on the mound, 22-year-old, next Tuesday, 22-year-old Steven Strasburg.
Gosh, you remember that far back when you were just 21, just about to turn 22, and you're in the big leagues?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Well, you see his numbers, and he's 3-2 with a 2.32 ERA. So he has lost a couple of games, but he has struck out a ton of people. 61 strikeouts in 7 starts. Coughlin, Sanchez, and Hanley against Strasburg.
Speaking with my buddy Adam Dunn in spring training, when they finally sent Strasburg down, he basically came up and said, we just sent our best pitcher down to the minor leagues. And that's how polished this guy is right out of college.
And I think that's the challenge for the Nationals organization moving forward, is to build a rotation around him.
Absolutely. I mean, everything that I've heard as far as makeup and work ethic and the way he approaches the game is it's very similar to the way our Josh Johnson does that.
Chris Coughlin shook his head at that, but that's the inside pitch that Coughlin has had some trouble with early in the season and on this last road trip. 1-2 coming. Breaking ball. Coughlin fights it off down the line. It's a foul ball.
That's a curveball for you. I think he hit that right off the end of the bat.
Counts 1-2.
He reminds me of a little bit of A.J. Burnett when we had him here in Florida early on. The first pitch of the game, 98 miles an hour, effortless fastball, huge curveball. But A.J. didn't have this command. He's got very good command of both sides of the plate with that kind of stuff.
When he's ahead in the count, he has been dominant. Fastball up and in at 98. It's 2-2. 6'4", 220. And that in itself is a story. When he showed up at San Diego State, he weighed 250. The 2-2. Coughlin chops one out towards second. Guzman flips it to first. And Strasburg has out one. Defensively, the Nationals are challenged, much like the Marlins, Snyder.
Bottom 2 of the National League with Willingham, Morgan, and Bernardina in right field. Zimmerman, Desmond, Guzman, and Dunn round out the infield with Steven Strasburg and old friend Pudge Rodriguez behind the plate, looking for his 300th home run as a catcher.
TGI Fridays brings you the defense. And here is Gabby. Strasburg misses down low with a breaking ball. Gabby steps in. 15 hits on that long road trip for Gabby. And, of course, right now he's atop a lot of rookie categories. He's seen 2 breaking balls here. Gabby leads all National League rookies in hits, in doubles, total bases, and extra base hits. Second in average, second in on-base percentage, and nearly tore himself in 2 on that cut.
I think that's a common misconception. When you have a guy throwing this hard, your first impression is to swing harder at the hard pitch, but it's actually you need to be quicker to the ball, not harder. That's what George Brett taught me.
Nice Fox Exmo look there, the 2-1. That is outside.
He said try to hit the ball hard, not far.
There's our camera behind home plate, our Fox Exmo, little special edition tonight. And so Gabby is not adhering to the George Brett, and I'm sure Charlie Lau had something to do with George's stance on that.
Yes.
The great hitting coach who transformed Brett into a Hall of Famer. Of course, George had a little something to do with it as well.
A little bit, yeah.
3-2 coming. And there's the easy swing on 2 strikes.
Exactly. It's a great adjustment. The first 2 swings, way too big. trying to catch up to a 97-mile-an-hour fastball at the letters is very difficult to do. You saw him cut down a swing right there and just try to take that outside pitch to right field.
So count full, 3-2. A little better piece or a bigger piece of that one. 13 total pitches right now for Strasburg, who is on an innings limit. 160 total this year, so probably will get shut down before the season is done. And Gabby's getting a good look at him and driving that pitch count up.
Yeah, they're not taking any chances with Strasburg during this season. They're going to manage his pitch count, manage his innings, make sure that nothing goes wrong toward the end of this season.
Nothing but fastballs from the third pitch on. Another fastball, and Gabby sends it in the same spot.
So if you can drive that pitch count up quickly and get him out of the game, you obviously would love to see the Nationals bullpen over this guy starting stuff.
This is the 11th pitch of this at-bat to Gabby Sanchez. And he fouls it back. It was kind of disappointing over the break. Our Toyota Fox Tracks, look how he's worked them up and out. Kind of disappointing to see Gabby's name at the very back of many Rookie of the Year lists, you know, the halfway point awards.
There's that 91-mile-an-hour changeup.
It's like Leo Nunez and his changeup, which comes in at 89-90. It's still a good 8-9 miles off the fastball, which is what you're looking for.
Yeah, about a 10 mile per hour spread is a pretty good distance you want between fastball and changeup.
Breaking ball and a great at bat by Gabby Sanchez.
It's interesting how Gabby reacted to that first curveball. He did the old rocking chair where he thought it was going to hit him, but actually almost ended up in the strike zone. And by the end of that at bat, he recognized it and laid off it. That was a great at bat by Gabby.
All right, here is Hanley Ramirez, Marlins all-star shortstop. Hanley saying at the end of the first half that he felt like he did not have a good first half, and many players in baseball would take those numbers over the course of a season. But Hanley was speaking from the heart. He said, I need to play better for us to win. And Gabby's going to get to second on a wild pitch by Strasburg. Well, his first pitch from the stretch missed badly.
And talking to an old friend of mine, Dave Sheinin, he writes for the Washington Post. He used to be a beat writer here for the Florida Marlins when I was here the first time. He's actually writing a book on Steven Strasburg already.
Hanley got that changeup, which, if that's what you see in the first pitch, you're probably saying to yourself, is that the changeup or the fastball?
And he did remark that Strasburg, when he's not really on with that big curveball, he's gone to that changeup. And in one game earlier this year, he threw 30 changeups because he couldn't locate his curveball, so he went to the changeup.
1-1 coming to Hanley. Fastball, Hanley fouls it back. It's got to help for Strasburg to have a veteran behind the plate in Ivan Rodriguez.
It really does. Pledge has caught more games than anybody in the history of the game and has seen an amazing array of pitchers come through, and I'm sure this is probably one of the better ones he's ever seen, and can lend that knowledge to him.
And a nice move by Mike Rizzo, the general manager, knowing that Strasburg would get here, knowing that Drew Storen would get here, and wanting that veteran presence to work with the young pitchers. Hanley's behind the count 1-2. Breaking ball misses. He has not been able to throw that secondary pitch for a strike. Gabby walked, moved up on a wild pitch. Fastball's out. Strasburg flinched. There's a look on Fox Tracks. It's out. Pitch number 5.
Good call. Already have 22 pitches on the pitch count from Strasburg.
He beat the Giants his last time out. He went just 95 pitches in 6 innings. Hanley went after the changeup and strikes out. Pudge throws him out. And Strasburg has 2 here in the first. And up comes Uggla.
That is pretty impressive movement on a changeup.
Dan Uggla starts the second half red hot. And I guess the question, Jeff, would be how much does a run at the end of the first half translate to the start after 4 days off?
When you're hot, you don't want any days off. I'm sure Dan Uggla wasn't really looking forward to a 4-day break after hitting the ball like he's hit it for the last 17 games.
17 games. His on-base percentage way up, slugging percentage way up, average with runners in scoring position way up, and it was his approach, and he told us on the road trip that he's changed his approach. He said, I got tired of everyone saying I'm just a swing and miss guy, and in working with John Maley, he's cut down his swing, he's walking more, and that's what Edwin Rodriguez told him when he told him he was moving him to cleanup. He said, you're the cleanup hitter now, but don't change what you're doing because you're hitting fourth.
Yeah, you don't want to see him go back to that, okay, all or nothing mentality. I'm a cleanup hitter. I'm going to be hitting more home runs. He's become a much better hitter.
Well, that pitch almost looked outside, and Uggla snapped his head back. You see where he is now with runners in scoring position. About a month ago, he was down close to 200.
And to his credit, you know, you got a guy that's hitting 30 home runs and driving in close to 100 every year as a second baseman, has set records for his power output as a second baseman. And you know what? He's like, that's not good enough for me. I want to work on being a better hitter, and he's really done that.
And that move has bumped Cantu down to the 5 spot. Cantu, a guy that was in desperate need of some rest when the All-Star break arrived. Let's see what Uggla gets. 3-1 from Strasburg.
I think I can tell you.
It's in. A changeup. He threw him a 3-1 changeup, and I don't think that's what you would have expected if you were up there.
No, that's what I meant. I thought he was going to throw a 3-1 changeup.
On Fox Exmo.
I love that Exmo camera. That is truly amazing. You see the sideways rotation on that pitch, and he's throwing it so hard that when it gets to the strike zone, it is dropping straight down.
Steve McCaddy, pitching coach of the Nationals, is out there. You can join Marlins expert David Villavicencio tonight during the game. A live chat on FoxSportsFlorida.com. Voice your opinion. Chat with David and other fans about the ballgame. Log on to FoxSportsFlorida.com. Steven Strasburg's pitch count is at 28. The Marlins have runners at first and second. He had a kind of a rocky first inning against the Giants his last time out, but ended up righting himself and winning that ball game 8-1. And here's Cantu, who really carried the Marlins in April and May and faded in June and early July.
Had 30 RBIs in April alone. When you look at his runners in scoring position, he's still hitting .313, which is pretty solid.
Strasburg misses out with the fastball.
And even though his average is down, his run production is down after that April, it seems like every time that he comes up in a big situation where the team needs a big RBI, he comes through quite a bit.
And now the primary stuff is missing.
And that's, he has not pitched. He has not gone above the 100 pitch count mark yet this season. He's been under 100 pitches every start so far this year.
So he's at 31 pitches now. And Cantu has got a 2-0 pitch to swing at. And he does, and fouls it back.
That tells you when you see a seasoned major league hitter 100% knowing that he's going to get a fastball, and you see Cantu still can't square that ball up. That's how tough it is when you're throwing 96, 97, 98 miles an hour to get that round piece of wood on that round bat going that quickly.
Buries the fastball in, and it's 3-1 now. Cody Ross is on deck.
John Maley and I were talking at the cage before the game about how they should be patient with him, with Strasburg, knowing that he's not quite the effective pitcher.
Drive to right. Bernardina circles it and makes the catch. So the Marlins drive the pitch count up, but don't get on the scoreboard. We've played one and are scoreless.
En español, oprimiendo el botón del SAP.
Welcome back. Sun Life Stadium, the Marlins and the Nationals. And Ricky Nolasco goes back to work. Nationals got a couple of hits in that first inning. Singles by Ryan Zimmerman and Adam Dunn. And it's Pudge, Roger Bernardina, and Ian Desmond against Ricky.
After the first inning, has half the pitches as his counterpart does. 17 for Nolasco, 33 for Strasburg.
Pudge takes a breaking ball outside. And I think Ivan Rodriguez has been a nice addition to this Nationals ball club. Jim Riggleman very happy with the way Pudge has approached the year. Pudge has some milestones in mind. Would love to get to 3,000 hits. He's probably a couple, maybe 2.5 seasons away from getting there. Good running fastball. It's 1-2.
Pretty remarkable given the stress that catching puts on your body day in and day out. That he stayed as healthy as he is. He doesn't use the old knee savers behind home plate.
That 1-2 Ricky thought he had for a strike. He's 38, is Pudge. 13 years in Texas, 5 years in Detroit. Cody Ross went back, and now in, and makes the catch. We're joined now by Allison Williams. Allison?
Hey guys, for those players who don't partake in the Midsummer Classic, the All-Star break is a chance to do just that. Take a break, get away from the game, spend some time with the family, which is what most of the Marlins did, including Jorge Cantu. He really wanted to get away, so he went home to Texas, and he said he actually put a sign outside of his house that said, if you're coming here to talk baseball, kindly leave. Dan Ugla, he didn't have to worry about talking baseball too much, but he said he did do a lot of yelling as he was chasing around his 2 kids back in Tennessee. Ronnie Paulino also spent some time with his youngsters. He took them down to the Miami Seaquarium where they got a chance to swim with the dolphins. Paulino took some pictures, though, from outside the pool. Nate Robertson, he went back to the good old state of Michigan. And also Gabby Sanchez, well, he went over to the Bahamas for a little relaxation at Atlantis. All in all, the guys said they just really used this time to relax and spend some much-needed time with the family, which, Niner, I believe you got a chance to do as well, right?
Oh, yeah. I had a chance to take my 12-year-old son to Cooperstown, New York, site of one of the largest youth baseball tournaments in the country.
How was it? And was that your first trip to Cooperstown?
It was my first trip to Cooperstown, and they do an amazing job. This guy built 22 baseball fields, identical baseball fields at this complex. 104 teams a week for 13 straight weeks come to this complex to do this tournament, and they do a fantastic job.
Bernardina takes inside. How did your son's team do?
We finished in the top 16 out of 104 teams. I was very proud of them. They did a great job.
And what did you think? You get a chance to tour the Hall of Fame, I'm sure.
Yes, we went down as a team and toured the Hall of Fame. And, you know, as a baseball fan, it's, you know, kid in the candy store.
Here's the 2-2. Was there anything, any article of yours that's in the Hall of Fame?
No, not anymore. When I hit the home run to win the All-Star game in '95, 2 guys showed up in suits, and they looked like Secret Service guys. They handed me their card.
Men in black?
Yeah. And they said, can we have your bat, please? We're from the Hall of Fame. Yeah, sure, go ahead. So they took my bat, and it was on display there for a while. I had friends that actually visited the Hall of Fame that took pictures of it for me and sent it to me. And, oh, my gosh, look at that young guy. Wow. That's the bat right there. They came and confiscated.
And that's the swing from the All-Star game, right?
That's it.
Off of Steve Onoveros?
From Oakland, correct. I almost took that pitch.
Now, did they send the bat back to you?
No. So I was in the Hall of Fame. I'm searching for my bat. I want to see this bat, right? Because everyone told me it was there.
Here's Ian Desmond.
Cannot find it. So I'm like, I want a number of somebody I can call to get that bat back. Because I want it in my room. I got the ball.
Do you think they lost the bat?
Someone told me it was on like a traveling display that they do at All-Star games, and I'm going to find out about that.
It's in some minor league town right now. It's in Clinton or Hoboken or some East Lansing with the lug nuts.
Yeah, and it's got tape and screws in it because it's been broken so many times, and some kid's using it for BP somewhere. I want my bat back.
Meanwhile, Ricky Nolasco is burning it up right now. And we got a sense going into this ball game that Nolasco is such a competitor that with all the attention being paid to Strasburg, and rightfully so, that Ricky was going to take this upon himself as a real test.
And you've seen his concentration. Look on his face. I think he's got a different look for tonight than he's had in recent starts.
Oh, nasty stuff. Nolasco goes 1, 2, 3 through the second. He has punched out 3 scoreless in South Florida. Concrete Super Saturday. He's the post-game concert, Hector Acosta. Fireworks, all of that presented by the Dominican Republic Ministry of Tourism. 1877 Marlins. But you know what? Look, you see that stuff on the screen? And you're going to get a cowbell, too. You're going to get to see maybe the best pitcher in baseball, Josh Johnson.
That is worth the price of admission.
Yeah, so you get the Super
That's
Saturday.
a bonus.
Super Saturday, and you get JJ pitching against the Nationals. Tonight it's Steven Strasburg who starts for Washington. And the Marlins pushed his pitch count into the mid-30s in the first inning. So it's Cody Ross, Mike Stanton, and Ronnie Paulino.
Wasn't it fun watching JJ out there in Anaheim?
It was fun to watch him actually get to pitch, not only pitch in the ballgame, but pitch meaningful innings in the ballgame. And he was living at 98, 99 miles an hour. I remember the All-Star start Brad Penny had in Pittsburgh 3 or 4 years ago. When you know you're pitching just 1 or 2 innings, those big starters just absolutely air it out.
Wow. I felt bad for Andy Pettitte. He was like 89 to 91. And that was like the only guy in the whole game that didn't hit, that threw below 95 miles an hour.
Strasburg's 0-2. Cody Ross, a first half that didn't include a lot of home runs, 7 of them, but Ross, his batting average at 282, drove in 46 runs, and he did a lot of that in the first half, Jeff Conine.
Just like his pal Dan Ugla. Really using that right side of the field effectively. Then on a pretty nasty changeup, he went the other way on it.
He too has done a little bit better job, a little more selective. No, not walking as much as Ugla, but a little bit different hitter than he was last year. Now here's a matchup that we may be seeing for the next 10 years or so in this division. Strasburg, Stanton, and a fastball is inside. Mike Stanton comes in at 231. Enjoyed the road trip. Hit 4 home runs, including a grand slam on the road trip. And importantly, Jeff, at the tail end of the trip, he was on the fastballs. Drives that ball to right center field. Back goes Bernardina at the track, makes the catch. And Mike Stanton just missed that one.
That's when he's going to get fun to watch Mike Stanton. When he really starts getting on fastballs and not missing or swinging through some of those that he's swung through so far. Just missed that one right there. I mean, that ball went 380 feet on basically a pop fly.
Here's Ronnie Paulino.
Before the home run derby, they had a very interesting piece on pitch speed and bat speed affecting ball flight and distance. They said a 60-mile-an-hour pitched ball from a batting practice pitcher that met a 65-mile-an-hour swing would go about 400 feet. Now, if you increase the pitch speed by 5 miles an hour, that would only increase distance by 5 feet. But if you increase bat speed by 5 miles an hour, that would increase the ball flight 25 feet, which is interesting. You always think, oh, the harder the pitcher, the farther it's going to go. Well, it's the quicker your bat is, the farther it's going to go.
Mike Stanton's bat speed is pretty incredible.
Very incredible, and that's why when you see him start to meet these 97-mile-an-hour fastballs with that bat speed, it's going to be explosive.
That one misses down low. What was your major at UCLA?
Astrophysics.
Nice.
With the minor in baseball.
1-2 coming to Paulino. Smacks it right up the middle. Up with the ball is Morgan. And now with Ricky coming up, he'll probably be laying down a bunt. Paulino's bat showing some life. But look at this in Fox X-Ball.
Excellent piece of hitting here. Watch this elevated fastball. Ronnie, he's got his high hand position at setup, meets that one really nicely.
A very good fastball hitter. Did not hit a lot of fastballs in early July, and a lot of that was the toll that catching every day took on him.
Which is a big toll when you're used to platooning with John Baker first month and a half of the season, and then go from that to catching every single day in this heat in Florida. There was no one on this roster that was looking more forward to the All-Star break than Ronnie Paulino.
Hitting a guy like Strasburg is not easy. How does that translate to bunting?
Even tougher. It's even tougher to get an elevated fastball down on the ground than it is to hit one.
Ricky gets one down. Dunn thought about third and then throws to first. So the Marlins will have a shot here with Coughlin and runners at second and third.
Excellent job. Well, Dunner gets a bad rap over there, being a big, huge guy. I think people think he's slow-footed and doesn't move well, but he actually moves very well.
He just hasn't played a lot of first base in his career.
Exactly. I think the more he gets over there, he's going to be adequate. I'm not going to say he's going to win a Gold Glove, but he'll be an adequate Major League first baseman. My son was looking at the stats this morning, and he's like, Dad, Adam Dunn's got 2 triples. The big man can run.
Breaking ball, a strike. Before the ball game,
look at he is a
the
monster.
Size of him. It's enormous. And he was a high school quarterback.
Oh, and he still says that he should have played football instead of baseball.
Oh, one coming. What have you seen different from Chris Coughlin 2010 to 2009?
Well, early on, I saw a lot of unbalance in Chris Coughlin's swing. You saw him swing and miss, but when you see his feet move all over the batter's box after that swing and miss, that tells me that he's off balance. He's not on balance. And lately, he's been a lot more on balance.
Adam Dunn gobbles that one up, steps on the bag. Steven Strasburg's pitch count now at 49, but there's no runs on the board. Legendary performer, 2003, 77-year-old Minnie Minoso becomes the first to play pro ball in 7 decades. He walked as the designated hitter in an independent league game.
That's incredible.
Maybe he was using your bat.
The mystery bat that's disappeared.
All right, here's Strasburg. He's going to lead it off. Niger Morgan, Christian Guzman coming up. If you've just joined us, good ball game so far. No score in this one. Steven Strasburg has been wild. Ricky Nolasco has been effective. And the Marlins and Nationals opening up the second half with a 3-game series here in South Florida. Ricky misses low and outside. He's fallen behind 2-0. The long ball has hurt Nolasco this year. He's given up 20 home runs, but he's been able to pitch around it. And in his last 4 starts, in all of those starts, he's gone at least 7 innings, and he's won all 4 of them. That's one of the things about Nolasco. He's a winner. You look back at his minor league numbers coming up in the Cubs organization, a winner. 49 and 36 in his major league career right now.
I think too many people get caught up in earned run averages, and bottom line is W's and L's, wins and losses. When you look back at like a guy like Jack Morris with the Twins, he always pitched to the game. He pitched to the run count. No matter what the score was, that's what he was going to allow the other team to have, and he didn't care about shutting people out and getting a really low ERA.
There's a lot of the new wave Sabre mathematicians, and you see that Nolasco can move into second on the all-time Marlins wins list. Dontrelle Willis, by the way, signed a minor league deal with the San Francisco Giants.
Did not know that.
In the past 24 hours, Nolasco punches out Strasburg. But a lot of the new math, you're right, they don't value wins and losses. It's whip, it's ERA, but it's kind of a lost art in that a pitcher, once he gets the lead, has a knack for keeping the lead. Maybe the best example of a guy who has great numbers other than wins and losses is Javier Vasquez, who has always had that reputation of great pitcher, great stuff, but if you stay close to him, you can get him in the 6th or the 7th inning.
And all those computations, the numbers, that doesn't measure character, and I think that's what bottom line is. You want a guy out there like Ricky Nolasco that, depending on what the game situation is,
nice play by Paulino on the bunt by Morgan,
will keep his team in the game and give a chance to win it.
Now, I'm not saying that those numbers don't have meaning. I think they have an incredible amount of meaning, and I think the new math, the new statistics has shed an awful lot of light on baseball. Organizations look at it, use it, employ people like Bill James and all of that. But I think it's the organizations that have a foot firmly in both camps, both the new statistics and in good old-fashioned scouting and baseball knowledge. The Red Sox probably the leaders in the clubhouse as far as that goes. Those are the successful organizations that are able to combine the two.
And old and the new, when you combine that, you got the best of both worlds, in my opinion, because I think character and makeup is overlooked a lot nowadays. They just look at stats.
Do you think, as Guzman steps in, do you think that should be the 6th tool? People talk about the 5 tools of baseball. Do you think they should add a column?
Absolutely. And I think it shouldn't be the 6th tool. I think it should be the first tool. That's the first thing I would look at in a major league player, is his makeup and his ability to be a competitor, and then go down the list from there.
Uggla picks it up, flips on over to first. Ricky Nolasco is cruising. He is set down 7 in a row. Scoreless. the fish, scoreless. Now, one of the new math things that I really like, Buster Olney does this in his column, the patient index, and that is how many pitches do you see during an at-bat? And for Gabby Sanchez, he saw a ton.
He saw a ton. And he's the type of hitter, and I think you'll see it in the great hitters, especially the ones that hit for high average. The pitchers that are really tough, they have the ability to foul off instead of put in play. We saw Gabby do a great job of that first at-bat.
12-pitch at-bat against Sanchez. That was back in the first. The Marlins had 2 base runners in the first, 2 base runners in the second. And Gabby leads it off with Hanley and Dan Uggla to follow.
Gabby had a 12-pitch at-bat in the first inning, and Ricky Nolasco had an 11-pitch inning last inning.
You see his pitches per plate appearance. He's actually below the league average, but is one of the Marlins' more patient hitters. Out in a shallow center. Morgan got a late break, and now comes on and makes the catch. And we check in with Allison Williams. Allison?
How big is Steven Strasburg in D.C.? Well, they even have a burger named for him, the Strasburger, of course. It's made at BGR, the burger joint, and it's a very symbolic burger, if you will. It is topped with a hot dog to represent the Phoenix Desert Dogs, who he played with after being drafted. And then, of course, he went on to AAA Syracuse, so as a Syracuse orange cheese. But my favorite part, it's topped with 14 pickles to represent the 14 strikeouts he had in his big league debut. The only problem is, Tommy, if you guys go up to D.C., you're going to have to hope that they come out with a Strasburger 2, because it was only available through the end of June. I don't know about you guys, but that thing looks mighty good.
Well, I'm wondering why there's no ode to San Diego State in the Aztecs.
Yes.
Is it the jalapeno that's in there? Is that, or maybe a spear, the Aztec spear?
Very good.
Put it through the burger, through the pickles. 1-0 pitch.
That would be a good idea, guys. Also, what they could do, and some have suggested, is putting some Tabasco on there, little hot sauce to represent the heat he throws. I like that idea.
Hanley Ramirez struck out back in the first.
I think we should start a franchise with all that new information we just got.
Well, he is the franchise right now, my friend.
And let me tell you, I had not seen him in person other than today, and you look at him in pictures, magazine covers, he is a big guy. I mean, he is really well built. The legs, you can see where he gets his power from in his pitching legs.
Well, that was the problem, was that in high school he was eating too many Strasburgers. And when he arrived at San Diego State, he weighed 250 pounds. And one of the things that Tony Gwynn and the rest of the Aztec coaching staff did to him was say, look, the word is that you're soft in more ways than one on the mound and your body type. His mother is a dietitian. And so he and his mom sat down and plotted out a new diet, hit the weight room, and he came back his sophomore year. He had dropped 30 pounds. Runner goes. Out at second. Pudge gets some help on the pick from Ian Desmond. Hanley didn't like the call, and here comes Edwin Rodriguez. Here's a look. Low throw. Desmond we have obviously an opposite angle from second base umpire Dan Bellino. And the advantage of slowing it down.
And that's tough to see even when you slow it down.
But from that angle, he's clearly safe. And that's as true an angle from what Bellino had that we have. So the Nationals get a break. Uggla takes a curveball for a strike. And the miraculous thing is once he dropped 30 pounds, he gained about 8-9 miles an hour on his fastball.
Muscle pushes the ball a lot more quickly than fat does.
0-2. Uggla on that breaking ball, and he grounds it into left field.
That is good hitting right there. That's, I think, where we're talking about earlier, how he's become more complete hitter. before he swings through that ball. Now he stays on it and gets base hits.
You like fastballs tonight? Well, why don't you come around on Monday when Ubaldo Jimenez is starting for the Colorado Rockies. Marlins and Rockies, Monday through Thursday. The Subway $5 bullpen box voucher for Monday. Tuesday's Miami Herald will give you the 2 for Tuesday coupon. Thursday is camp day at 12:10. Here's Cantu. That call at second base, a big one. Obviously, it would change the whole pitch sequence from Strasburg to Ugla. But the Marlins have had base runners in every inning. Strasburg's pitch count is now into the low 60s. And at this rate, the Marlins are going to get into that Nationals bullpen in the 5th inning if they adhere to that pitch count, which doesn't put him over 100.
Has not been over 100 yet so far this year, so I would think we're going to be in the Washington Nationals bullpen early.
One and two to Cantu. John McLaren, the bench coach in the middle there. There's Jim Riggleman giving the sign. Steve McCaddy, pitching coach, right behind him. And a high fastball finishes off Cantu. Pitch count keeps climbing, but nothing to show for it yet. Long time, a 14-day, 13-game road trip before the All-Star break, then the 4-day break, and now a 10-game homestand. They open with Steven Strasburg, then you've got the red-hot Colorado Rockies in, then the first-place Atlanta Braves in. Ricky Nolasco has been up to the challenge so far. Ryan Zimmerman, Adam Dunn, and Josh Willingham. In the 4th, Zimmerman takes a breaking ball for a strike.
And a very tough schedule and a very critical time for the Marlins and this team for the rest of the season.
Yeah, the Marlins have certainly dug themselves a hole at this point. It's the odd thing about baseball. This is only game number 89 for the Fish out of 162. But you're at the part of the season where the next dozen games could be make or break. And that's a lot of that is because of the trading deadline that looms at the end of this month. Teams have to decide whether they're sellers or buyers or a little bit of both.
You look at the standings, 10.5 games out. So you discount the pennant at this point. You look at who's in second place, because with the wild card gives you a lot more options.
And that's Colorado. The Marlins are 7 back of Colorado.
And if you can't even finish second in your own division, there's no way you can get in the wild card. So the Marlins at least have to look at the Mets right now, Phillies, and try to start leapfrogging a few teams so they can stay in this thing by the end of July.
5 teams between the Marlins and the Rockies in that wild card race. But of course the Rockies are kind of the poster children for what can happen when a team gets hot. Twice they've done it, where all of a sudden they catch fire and make a race. Of course, the only time they went to the World Series, it was the ultimate wild card charge at the end. Clint Hurdle and the Rockies ended up in the World Series. Zimmerman to left field, Coghlan towards the line, dives and makes the catch. He has turned himself into a nice little left fielder.
Indeed.
Never played an inning of outfield until the night before he got called up to the big leagues. And 2 days later, he was starting in the outfield at Coors Field.
That's a tall order. Not an easy place to play the outfield.
Adam Dunn, a mighty swing and a miss. Dunn singled back in the first. The Nationals had a couple of 2-out singles, but Josh Willingham struck out to end the inning. And Ricky's been cruising since. He's retired 8 in a row. Dunn smacks that one into right center field. Stanton will pick it up, and Adam Dunn is 2 for 2. Our AT&T trivia question. Let's flip the phone and see what we got. Youngest starter to record a win over the Marlins. Strasburg is a few days away from 22. Jeff Conine, you being Mr. Marlin, I would expect you may have played in this game. Willingham goes after this pitch, drives it down the right field line, and foul. Who were some of the young guns that you saw?
I had selective memory when we got beat. I don't remember those games very much.
Ball and a strike. Ricky has 4 strikeouts. Velasco at 27. Both these starting pitchers are Southern California kids. Strasburg, of course, from San Diego. Then went to San Diego State. Ricky, a Dodger fan. Out of Corona, California, Rialto High School.
Yeah, he'll say he's from Corona, but he's from Rialto. Just guess where I'm from. Rialto. 2 Rialto boys.
Wow. 1-2. Boy, Nolasco, and you hear scouts talk about Nolasco, and you saw it on that last Exmo. They say he can really spin the ball.
Amazing rotation on his curveball, and I think when he dials it in like he's got it going tonight, he can vary those speeds too, and vary the spin on his curveball to make it break more or less.
All right, here now is Pudge for the second time. He had a shallow fly ball out to Cody Ross in center his first time up. Of course, you and Pudge hooked up on one of the most memorable plays in Division Series history. The throw from left field that nailed JT Snow, who then knocked over Pudge, who held on to the ball and sent you guys on to the National League Championship Series, where you would beat the Cubs.
Getting goosebumps just thinking about that.
Breaking ball misses outside. Here it is. This was not an easy ball. A little cross cut and a short hop.
That was the toughest part right there. I was actually just kind of going about it like I'm going to give him a throw just to make it look good because I didn't think we had any shot. But as soon as I let it go and it was about a foot out of my hand, I saw where JT Snow was on that play. And I just started saying to myself, hold on, Pudge, because I knew he was going to get trucked at home plate. And sure enough, when he jumped up and held that ball up, it was, what a great feeling.
Of course, the Marlins would go on to beat the Cubs and then beat the Yankees and win the World Championship in 2003. And for Pudge, his only World Championship. Went to the World Series with the Tigers. And of course, they lost to the Cardinals in the World Series. So even though he spent just a year in South Florida, it was a memorable one. And he actually was the MVP of the following series against the Cubs. In that NLCS, he had 375 with runners in scoring position. Drove in some huge runs.
And not only that, but completely shut down the running game. They didn't even attempt any steals, I think, that whole series. They threw the first guy out, and after that, they just didn't even go. So the comfort level that our pitchers had of delivering the ball from the stretch was unprecedented because no one ran.
I think Ricky's comfort level is rather high with Adam Dunn at first.
You could say that.
2-2, Ricky Nolasco strikes out Pudge. 6 strikeouts for Nolasco. And he got some help from Chris Conley. Good ball game, scoreless ball game. By South Florida Ford. Visit southfloridaford.com for great offers. By Checkers, little place, big taste. By Corona, kick back and relax with an ice cold Corona and lime. Enjoy a Corona today. By Salt, in theaters July 23rd. And by TGI Fridays. Celebrate summer with the new Caribbean menu only at TGI Fridays. Rich Waltz along with Jeff Conine sitting in for Tommy Hutton. Good crowd on hand. The headliner, Steven Strasburg, has struggled but has not given up a run. And he gets Cody Ross, Mike Stanton, and Ronnie Paulino here in the 4th. His pitch count at 64. Ross lined a single into right field back in the 2nd inning. Strasburg has walked 3. Good sharp breaking ball, and it's 0-2.
I guess you're pretty good when you've only given up 3 hits through 3 and no runs, and you're struggling.
Yeah. Well, 2 strikeouts to go with the 3 walks. You talked about the comparison of an A.J. Burnett when he first arrived. Strasburg seems to be much more refined than Burnett was when he stepped on a big league mound for the first time.
Very much so. You know, when you go back and look at A.J. Burnett's no-hitter that he threw in San Diego and 9 walks he had in that game, I don't think you're ever going to see Strasburg walk 9 people in one game.
Which probably speaks to the level of coaching he got at San Diego State.
And I think a lot of the organizations and scouts now look at the college program as kind of a minor league tune-up to get them to the big leagues quicker. And some of the better programs are doing just that. They're teaching these guys the art of command of a baseball.
Here's Stanton, who nearly took a fastball out of here, a high fly ball that died on the track in right center. Busted his bat and rolls it out to Guzman, and we check in with Frank Fort.
To put a kind of a wrap-up on the All-Star break, at the All-Star game, Josh Johnson pitching for the first time in his second All-Star game. Admitted to me earlier today he was pretty amped up, but said he was able to get things under control. 6 up, 6 down with the help of a nice catch in left field by the Brewers' Ryan Braun. As for Hanley Ramirez, 0 for 3 in the game, but said he was really happy the National League won. Of course, the big story for Hanley there, he was probably the lowest favorite among those in the home run derby, wound up making it to the final with a total of 26 home runs before he lost out to David Ortiz, who was one of his mentors in the Boston Red Sox organization, which Hanley came up in. And of course, before the All-Star break, Hanley had waffled as to whether he was going to participate in the home run derby after initially saying yes, but today he said, I really enjoyed it. I did run out of gas in the final. Asked if he would do it again. Hanley said, absolutely. Rich?
Ronnie Paulino, a ground ball and an 8-pitch inning. The lowest pitch inning for Strasburg comes at a much-needed time for the young right-hander. We've played 4. Fresh, scoreless ball game. Marlins and Nationals. Ricky Nolasco and Steven Strasburg matched up here. And Nolasco has been outstanding. He's given up 3 singles. He has struck out 6. And he's continued this run that he's on, having won his last 4 starts. Roger Bernardina, Ian Desmond, and Strasburg himself. Cantu fires across. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the 5th inning. All right, if you can't even muster a guess on this, youngest pitcher ever to beat the Marlins, there's no way I'm going to get it.
I can't even muster a guess.
Having trouble loading, apparently. We don't have full bars.
Oh, that's why.
Hey, Rick Ankiel, back when he was a pitcher.
2000. I wasn't with the team in 2000.
Well,
I can't be expected to know that.
There's the reason. You were excused because of an extended absence between World Championships. From 97 to 2003, you were, what, an Oriole in 2000?
Yes, I was.
Ian Desmond takes a strike. Ian Desmond, one of the young nationals, a guy that they have high hopes for, and a Florida kid out of Sarasota. He's 24. They really like him. You talk about the new metrics to measure things. Defensively, his metrics in terms of zone rating and mobility and range are all very good. Drops down a bunt, and it's going to roll, and it's going to stay right on the line. That's a base hit. Desmond ends up with a bunt single on one of the stranger-looking bunts you'll see.
It almost looked like it was by accident. He meant to pull the bat back, but it actually hit the bat.
His biggest issue have been errors. He's made a lot of them. 21 errors already in shortstop.
Wow.
But he does have great range, and they feel that as a young shortstop, that error total is going to come down. At least they hope it does.
They better hope it does. On pace to make 40 errors for the year. That's not really what you want for the backbone of your defense in shortstop.
Strasburg now, he's going to try to lay down a bunt and move Desmond up.
I got a chance to play, when you mentioned Baltimore, I got a chance to play with Mike Bordick, who I believe in 2000 set the Major League record for consecutive errorless games at 104. Ended up at 110. And did not win the Gold Glove.
Gold Glove that year went to, let's see, American League 2000. Alex Rodriguez didn't win it then, did he? Strasburg. It's a strike, and it's 2-1.
Omar Vizquel.
There you go. A pretty solid shortstop just got traded from Toronto into this division. I think the Atlanta Braves made a terrific trade in getting Alex Gonzalez from the Blue Jays, the former Marlin. And of course, we'll see the Braves at the end of this homestand when they come in for 3 games. But he replaces a very erratic Yunel Escobar who got shipped to Toronto.
Probably the best hands at shortstop I've ever seen, Alex Gonzalez.
And a guy that's never won a Gold Glove.
Another shocker to me. The year that he had with that infield that we had in 2003.
Runner goes. Strasburg is swinging and fouls it back.
And the following year in 2004, the year that he had at shortstop, I thought he should have won the Gold Glove hands down, but they gave it to Cesar Historis out in L.A.
Well, that entire infield would go on to win Gold Gloves. Derek Lee at first. Louis Castillo was in the midst of winning 3. And Mike Lowell won a Gold Glove, I believe, in 2005. Again, running. Struck him out. Threw him out. Ronnie Paulino. A difficult pitch to throw on. He got some help on a nice pick and tag from Hanley Ramirez. And a double play finishes the Nationals in the 5th. And hair color, a weekend series. You got Josh Johnson against Levon Hernandez. JJ against Levon. I love you, Miami. That'll be some matchup tomorrow night. And then, of course, on Monday, the 19th, Ubaldo Jimenez will be matched up.
15-1 at the All-Star break.
Anibal Sanchez gets that start. You can live forward with Just for Men hair color. Steven Strasburg getting the start tonight in our Subway 5th inning. As the Marlins and the Nationals are scoreless. 71 pitches worth. Certainly not the dominance that we've seen in many of his starts. Velasco, and then the top of the order, Chris Coghlan and Gabby Sanchez. Velasco, a sacrifice bunt back in the second. The Marlins pitching rotation has been announced, and there's a little bit of a wrinkle in it and a surprise. And then Alex Sanabria will start on Sunday night, and it's Anibal Sanchez who gets Jimenez on Monday night, who's Sanchi. And there's two reasons for that. Sanabria, the Marlins are trying to ramp him back up after being in the bullpen, ramp him up back to being a starting pitcher, so he's on an 80-pitch limit. So number one, they wanted to put him behind Josh Johnson because they figure the Marlins do that the bullpen will be freshest after a JJ start. Number two, they wanted him one pitcher away from Nate Robertson, who is prone to have low inning starts and thus might be taxing on the bullpen, and you don't want those two guys back to back.
2 nights back to back on short starts by your starting pitching can really tax the bullpen and ruin them. You got a 10-game homestand here that you have to think about. And that's good thinking by Edward.
Ricky goes down, and up comes Chris Coghlan. Miami just got even hotter. Tune into Sun Sports tomorrow at 6, and Sun Sports is going to re-air the Heat's welcome party. Exclusive coverage of the Miami Heat welcoming their latest additions to the team, straight from the American Airlines Arena in Miami. Maybe we can get Levon Hernandez to give a shout out. I love you, Miami, after the 97.
On his knees, sliding across the infield, pounding his chest. I love you, Miami.
Coghlan takes a strike. Chris has pulled 2 ground balls to the right side. He's bounced to second, and then he's bounced to first.
Although now, when you think about tomorrow's matchup, talk about contrasting styles. Josh Johnson living in the high 90s, and Levon living in the low 80s now.
Chris Coghlan has lived on the ground on the right side for all 3 at-bats tonight. And Strasburg, who was at 71 pitches coming into this inning, is on the verge of another short pitch inning.
We were discussing after the first inning and 34 pitches that he would be hard-pressed to make 5 innings in this game.
You see the 8 pitches in the fourth, 34 up front. And the main culprit is at the plate. Gabby had a 12-pitch at bat. We showed you that stat that had Gabby just below the league average in pitches per plate appearance. That's a statistic that can be misleading because the Marlins just came from Arizona on a team that has one of the highest pitches per at-bat averages in baseball. And one of the reasons why, they've struck out more than anybody in baseball. So when you're in the process of striking out, you go 1 and 2, you go 2 and 2, you see 4 and 5 pitches instead of putting it in play on pitches 1, 2, or 3.
And the reason why big-time strikeout pitchers have such high pitch counts. Because it takes a lot of pitches to strike a lot of guys out.
1 and 2 to the Miami native, Gabby Sanchez. And he went after a changeup and strikes out. So Strasburg, another quick inning. He's at 83 pitches. And we've arrived at the 6th, still scoreless.
Vía SAP y es presentado por KFC.
Scoreless ball game here, Sun Life Stadium, top of the 6th inning. Ricky Nolasco, Steven Strasburg, top of the order for the Nationals. Niger Morgan, he takes a fastball outside. Morgan is 0 for 2. The Nationals have 4 hits, 3 singles and a bunt single. So I guess you can go 4 singles on that.
Everyone talked about the hype of Strasburg coming into this game, but Ricky Nolasco has matched him pitch for pitch. I think he's actually pitched even better because he's had better command.
Now you talk about command. 7 strikeouts, no walks, those 4 hits, and now 72 pitches for Ricky. Morgan, the former hockey player out of Northern California. He lines one into left field, and certainly a threat to be running here in a scoreless game in the 6th. A week from tonight on a Fiesta Friday, brought to you by Jiffy Lube, the Marlins will face the Braves. You can play Billy Bingo. I know Niner spends hours at home playing Billy Bingo, and 2,500 winners will get a Marlins floppy hat courtesy of Metro PCS. Pick up a 4 for $54 pack, get 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, and 2 game programs starting at just $54. Now Morgan can run, but he can also get thrown out. He leads the National League in caught stealing with 12, but he has stolen 20 bases. So he is second in stolen bases, but first in caught stealing. We've seen Paulino already gun down a base runner or a base stealer. As Guzman steps out, Christian Guzman is 0 for 2. Guzman, a veteran at 32 now.
There's so much more to stealing a base than just being fast. You know, Niger Morgan, obviously a fast, speed-wise guy, but apparently doesn't know the art of stealing a base yet. When you look at caught stealings at 12, you look at some of the guys that really know how to time pickoff moves and recognize patterns that the pitcher's going to home with. And I remember when Carlos Beltran had 50 in a row, did not get caught for 50 straight steal attempts.
That's why guys like a David Wright, who doesn't have blazing speed, can be such a good base stealer. Ryan Zimmerman in the past has hurt the Marlins when you least expect it. Chipper Jones always seems to swipe a bag if you go to sleep on it. Well, he used to be able to. Now that's in question. Guzman pops up a bunt. And it's 1-2. But with a guy like Morgan, you got to remember, this guy was a hockey player first. He played major junior hockey in the Western Hockey League, and that's the American equivalent of major college football. And then decided to give baseball a try.
You'll see base stealer here, Nyjer Morgan. He's looking in, he's trying to peek in to see what sign that Paulino's putting down to see what kind of pitch he will pick to run on. You see his curveball, he's more likely to go on a curveball than a fastball. A lot like Juan Pierre right there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. He can only hope to have the type of career that Juan Pierre has had.
He'll get his sign, and now he'll look and try to peek in and see if he can catch Paulino giving the signs on pitches to the last one.
Count still 1-2.
The downfall of that is you don't look very long, because if he picks over, picks over when you're looking in, it's an easy pickoff. I'm sure that goes down as a caught stealing also.
Line drive over Uggla's head into right field. Stanton picks it up, and the Nationals have something going here. Not only do they have runners at first and second, but the guy that has hurt Ricky the most in this lineup, Ryan Zimmerman, is coming up. Now, earlier in the night, we relived that all-star moment with Jeff Conine, and he relayed the story that he went to the Hall of Fame this year, and the bat that they had asked for when you hit the All-Star home run was no longer there, and nobody up there seemed to know where it was. We just have received notice. Someone just called the ball club. Someone bought your bat at the Embassy Creek golf tournament. So we've located it, and it's all gone to a good cause, but it's been purchased in an auction. But the guy did leave a number, Niner, so just passing that note along.
Let the negotiating begin.
Here's Ryan Zimmerman. Zimmerman singled in the first, lined out in the fourth. Big breaking ball for a strike. Zimmerman actually much better power numbers on the road than at home. 10 of his 16 homers have been on the road, including the 2 he hit against Nolasco the last time the Nationals were here. Brian Sanchez starts to throw. Ricky's pitch count at 82. Of course, Zimmerman, the fabulous rookie when he arrived in Washington from the University of Virginia. All-time leader in runs, hits, doubles, homers, games.
Solid defender.
And Ricky's fastball got by him. Zimmerman just got a piece. Paulino squeezed it. And the biggest strikeout of the night for Nolasco, his 8th.
Reach back a little bit for that one right there. You see on Xmo 94 miles an hour, which is the fastest fastball that I've seen by Ricky tonight.
So he gets Zimmerman out of the way, but here comes Dunn, who is 2 for 2 against him. The Marlins can't go into the full Monty of a shift against Dunn, with runners first and second, and great speed at first and second. So if Dunn puts one in the gaps, it could mean 2 runs.
Very easily. Whose model bat do you think Adam Dunn uses?
Whose model? Is he a national?
No, he's not a national.
There's a 1-0 pitch. How about a Joey Votto?
Right team. Wrong player.
Jay Bruce. Ramon Hernandez.
Older.
Ramon.
Way older.
Scott Rowland?
No.
Ramon Hernandez?
No. Older.
A former Red.
A former Red.
How long was this player a Red? Here's the 2-0 pitch.
Not quite a year.
Huh, that's easy. It's Jeff Conine. So he's using your bat? That's not the bat that we've located tonight?
No, it's not the bat. That's not the infamous all-star bat that's gone missing. But, you know, as over through the years, you kind of tinker with bats, and if you can get a look at the model number, it's a C353, which the C insignia is usually the first initial of the last name of the player that invented that model, so to speak.
2-1 pitch. How do you invent a model?
Well, the good folks at Louisville, like, you know, if you're a good customer, you know, I broke a lot of bats over the years, so I wanted a certain handle, which the handle on that bat it's a big handle that's really flared, and then a certain style of head on the bat. So I wanted them to combine those two elements, and they came up with that, and they sent it to me, and I loved it. So did Adam Dunn.
Here's the 2-2 to Adam Dunn. Runners on the move. Paulino's throw from his knees at the bag, but safe is Morgan. Guzman stayed at first. And the count is now 3-2. This was close. Wrong side of the bag.
Tough throw to handle right there. Cantu going toward the bag. His momentum was carrying him over the line, and that's where the throw was. He just couldn't get it back in time.
And he also, since the throw was so low, he had to go to the front of the bag to make the catch, just to prevent the ball from hitting the base. And that, obviously, all those things combined, Morgan has his 21st stolen base. So it's 3-2. Let's see if Guzman's running from first. No, he's not. And Ricky just missed. Bags are loaded. Here's Willingham. This has been a spot where Nolasco has shined. In this 4-start stretch in which he's pitched 7 innings in each of those starts, won all of those starts. He's had a moment like this, Jeff, where in the 6th or in the 7th, he's had to bear down and get tough outs.
You saw him bear down on Zimmerman and deliver the best fastball of the night to strike him out. And I don't really think that's such a bad walk right there to Dunn. The way he's swinging the bat, he came in here red hot, already had 2 hits tonight. He's got a right-handed batter and Josh Willingham coming up, possibly setting up for a double play.
Willingham, one of the most disciplined hitters in the National League, 3rd in on-base percentage, has grounded into only 5 double plays this year. Infield's back for 2.
And very disciplined when you look at his average at 279 with a 411 on-base percentage.
These are the 2 strike threes that Nolasco has thrown to Willingham.
See the pattern there developing away with breaking stuff. That first pitch, miss at bat, curveball away. Do not want to make a mistake inside.
Fastball, that's a strike. Willingham didn't like the call. He was leaning out.
Strike. As a hitter, when you start seeing a pattern developing, you might start looking that way. So he's definitely looking outside right now because he thinks that's where Nolasco's going to try to get him out.
Does he go back in?
Not with 0-2.
Now It's 1-2.
Well, you just put that little bit of doubt in a hitter's mind. All right, he might come in here. So he's no longer on that away mistake like he would be if he didn't go in right. That fastball in.
Morgan, Guzman, and Dunn. Bases loaded. Scoreless game in the 6th. 1-2 to Willingham. Breaking ball, he lines it into right center field. That's going to score at least a couple. Dunn is lumbering towards third. Ross picks it up. They're going to send Dunn to the plate. Here comes Uggla's throw. He is safe. And Josh Willingham empties the bases. It's a 3-0 Nationals lead.
Missed location right here. Paulino wants this ball out on the corner. You see it floats over the middle of the plate. Something that he can handle. Willingham did a great job of not trying to do too much of that pitch. Takes it to the right center gap.
And here comes Dunn.
I'm sure Ronnie wasn't too excited about him coming around third base with the throw coming home.
No, not a collision you're thinking about taking. So the Nationals chase Nolasco. And here's our Marooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, need a car.
Started the season on the disabled list, wobbled a bit once he came off, but finished the first half strong.
I think that the year he had last year for this Marlins team, kind of unexpected, coming off a poor year the year before that, did an outstanding job bridging that gap to the late relievers.
Pudge goes after a breaking ball, hits it in the air to right center field. That'll score the run. Willingham is tagging. Man, that ball carries. And Ross runs it down, and Washington picks up another run. It's 4-0 now.
Good piece of hitting by Pudge. Infield playing in right there. Ball in the air, you get a run.
Edwin Rodriguez and the Fish down 4-0. The only bright spot is that Steven Strasburg has got maybe an inning left in him. He's at 83 pitches through his 5 innings. If the Nationals can bridge the gap to their all-star closer, Matt Capps, they'll be in good shape. That's the key for them, is that 7th and 8th inning.
One of the lone bright spots of that Nationals bullpen this year has been Capps. He's been outstanding.
They do have a good young arm that's joined them, Drew Storen, that the Marlins haven't seen yet. Sanchez, the changeup, it's 0-2. There's the Nationals All-Star.
The winning pitcher, first time in 13 years, is that right? National League, first win in 13 years.
Who was the last winning pitcher for the National League in 1996?
I can tell you 95.
All right, who was 95?
No, I can't tell you 95.
Oh, listen to
I
you.
thought I could.
Mr.
I know who got the save in 95.
Mr. Big Shot.
Randy Myers got the save in 95.
Our crack staff is dragging their feet right now. Here's Bernardina fighting off a fastball. Frank Fort, you got a...
Hey, Niner?
Yes?
This is just a guess on my part. I don't have any information in front of me. Could it have been Kevin Brown?
The 96 All-Star game?
Yeah. He was an All-Star that year.
Yes. Put together...
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, definitely could have been. Put together one of the best years by any starting pitcher the Marlins have ever had.
In fact, Josh is the first Marlin pitcher to go to back-to-back All-Star games since Kevin Brown.
And he's having a very Kevin Brown-esque type of year. I know Kevin ended that season with a 1.89 ERA. We didn't score him enough runs to get him the Cy Young. John Smoltz up in Atlanta won 24 that year, and he got the Cy Young award.
What about a Atlanta Brave? I mean, wasn't that the time where you had Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox? And it's John Smoltz, we're told. All right, we've settled that. Sanchez finishes the inning, but the Nationals get a big hit from a former Marlin, Josh Willingham. It's 4-0. Great catch by Chris Coughlin. Shall we freeze it? Sold out, made the catch. And that is your Crossbrew Coors Light freeze cam for the night. Josh Willingham struck out twice against his former teammate Ricky Nolasco until the 6th. Nolasco left a breaking ball out over the plate, and a 3-run double for Willingham has helped stake Washington and Steven Strasburg to a 4-0 lead. And here is Hanley Ramirez. He has struck out and walked against Strasburg.
Another thing that's been impressive about Strasburg tonight is he's probably not pitched in this kind of heat and humidity before. And that could take a big toll on a young pitcher quickly.
Well, as you pointed out, he hasn't been over 100 pitches yet, and this is number 86. Sawed it off, back behind second, and Hanley is safe. The ball dribbles by Dunn. That's going to be a base hit for Hanley Ramirez.
Speaking of old school, you know how he used to combat heat. Good throw gets him. Great play by Guzman. Shattered his bat.
Yeah, on hot days, you got to find creative ways to stay hot.
And I remember in St. Louis, we were playing a game 150 degrees on the turf, and someone told me to put cabbage in my hat. And that was a great way to dissipate the heat that was coming out of your head. I'd never heard that before.
Ugla fouls it off. Did it have the official Major League logo on it, like the official cabbage of Major League Baseball? They're storing the young arm that we talked about, and he's getting up and heating up in a hurry.
As Mr. Strasburg inches closer to that 100-pitch limit that he's got.
Ugla has walked and singled. Takes a breaking ball for a strike. He's behind in the count 0-2. And we showed you early how deadly Strasburg is with 2 strikes. This is Ugla in the cleanup spot.
Pretty good numbers in the 4 spot there, although limited exposure.
Counts 0-2. Ugla takes up. You can see Strasburg's velocity has dipped a bit. 96 on that fastball. 5 strikeouts, 3 walks, 4 hits. Marlins had opportunities early but couldn't get to him.
He has gotten much better in his command. That you saw that first inning with 34 pitches thrown. He was all over the place, throwing one about 3 feet wide to the backstop. And I think this is what the Nationals that I was talking to were alluding to, is that when he is having trouble locating a certain pitch, he can go to something else and locate that one. And he's made the adjustment so far tonight.
Fastball threw it by him. High heat. Gets Ugla. Inside the Marlins, Puerto Rico. After the game, the debut of the latest edition, the Frankfurt produced Inside the Marlins. It was a nice trip to Puerto Rico. Marlins enjoyed their stay. Took 2 or 3 from the Mets.
Well, it's a festive atmosphere, isn't it, over there?
It is. It's the stadium holds 18. It was filled every night. Music, dancing, and a good baseball.
They love their baseball over there. I was fortunate enough to play in spring training when I was with the Marlins. We played the Indians over there in spring training, and then, of course, when the Expos were there in 2003, our first road trip that we made.
Another jam shot, and safe there. Out at first. Goodness. Hanley beat Guzman to the bag, but the throw beat Cantu at first. And that's a huge play.
Guzman, I think, just thought that with his momentum, he was going to be able to tag the bag by himself, and then realized that he wasn't going to get there.
But Strasburg has been able to get in on both Ramirez, Ugla, and Cantu.
3 pretty good fastball hitters.
Ross is 1 for 2. I think one of the things that helped Strasburg mature, not only his experience at San Diego State, but also on the 2008 Olympic team, where he was playing with guys obviously that were much older than he was.
That's some really high quality baseball they play in the program. I know the training center is in Memphis, is that right? But, you know, it's a pretty intense thing they do there now, and they've turned out some really good players. Tennis 27,000 night. David Sampson told me tonight was the largest walk-up of the season so far.
Yeah, with good reason. That one fouled back. Of course, the Nationals have struggled so badly that with the first pick overall last year, in this year, they took the best they could find, and Strasburg was last year. They signed him to a $15 million contract, and now they're waiting to see what it will take to sign Bryce Harper, who just was awarded the Golden Spikes Award. And I'm not sure if a junior college player has ever won the Golden Spikes Award.
It's interesting circumstances how he even got to junior college. If someone doesn't know, he pulled out of high school early to get his GED to get to a junior college so he could sign earlier instead of going back to high school and finishing out his senior year.
That is nasty. And down goes Cody Ross. The Marlins leave another runner out there. His 100th pitch is strike 3. On Monday, JJ starts for the Fish tomorrow. The Rockies are here all week. 4-game series. Brian Sanchez, Ian Desmond got a bunt single his last time up. He tries it again and just pulls it wide. We were off by 1 on our pitch count. 99, not 100 for Strasburg, and that is a career high. And he's due up second of the inning, and Alberto Gonzalez is on deck.
Still has yet to reach that 100-pitch plateau.
Hung a curveball, and Desmond pulls it foul. With 27,000 in the house tonight. Super Saturday tomorrow with JJ starting. Then you got Ubaldo Jimenez coming in. Then you've got the first place Atlanta Braves coming in. Of course, the Rockies might be in first place by the time they get here. They are 2 games behind the San Diego Padres.
Eight and 2 in their last 10 games.
That last shot, you saw Taylor Tankersley, and the right-hander who's up is Yan Martinez, who was just called up from Jacksonville. Martinez, who started the season in Jupiter, tore through the Florida State League, and then pitched great in Double-A. Sanchi with the good split. And he strikes out Ian Desmond. All right, our Geico quote of the night comes from Larry Beinfest. Summing up the first half: we pitch, we don't pitch. We hit, we don't hit. We defend, we don't defend. Bullpen good, bullpen bad. Something new every night.
That about says it all.
Larry visited with us the final game of the road trip in Arizona, and that was the tone, was organization disappointed in the way the team has played, simply because there really hasn't been any consistency. The struggles of the bullpen had a lot to do with that in the middle relief role. But defensively, the Marlins have had issues.
I was just going to add, they haven't had one portion of their game that they can really rely on every night. When you look at the San Diego Padres, who are in first place, they've got the league's best defense and the league's best pitching. So when their hitting's not on, one of those other 2 things are going to save them and get them wins.
Cincinnati Reds always seem to be able to lean on their hitting, though they have a terrific young pitching staff.
And look where they are defensively. Number 2 in the league.
Reds atop the National League hitting charts, hitting .272, and have clubbed 108 home runs, second only to the Brewers. But of course, the Brewers, you look at the pitching, the Brewers are near the bottom of the charts in pitching, especially their bullpen. Milwaukee's pen has been a mess.
So what Larry was saying was, like, you haven't been able to count on one portion of the Marlins game so far as your lean on. You can't rely on the defense every night because they've been inconsistent defensively. Same with the hitting, same with the pitching, same with the bullpen. So that's got to be frustrating as a general manager.
I think the most consistent thing the Marlins have had this year has been their starting pitching.
Yes. Up until the demotion of Chris Volstad, they'd used the same 5 starters the entire year.
Last team to do it in the big leagues. Sanchi's thrown an awful lot of good splits or changeups.
Outstanding changeup. His a little slower than most. It's about 13, 14 miles an hour off of his fastball. And probably the most famous changeup of all, Trevor Hoffman, when he was going good, was 15 or 16 miles an hour off of his fastball, which can go both ways, either be really good or bad if you have bad location.
Sanchez in relief of Ricky Nolasco. Nolasco could not get through the 6th inning. He gave up the 3-run double to Josh Willingham. Ball's hit pretty well. Left center field and deep and off the wall out there. Alberto Gonzalez, the Attorney General, with a double to left center.
After throwing a bunch of really quality changeups, ends up hanging a fastball right there.
Top of the order. And this is what got it started in the 6th inning for the Nationals. Niger Morgan, Christian Guzman, both had singles. And this is going to bring Taylor Tankersley out of the pen. In comes Tank. Out we go with the Marooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck, or
Baker Concrete Super Saturday. You get a ball game, a concert, fireworks, giveaways, all of that. El Torito, Hector Acosta is tomorrow. And Diddy on July 24th, 1-877 Marlins, the number to call. So the lefty, Taylor Tankersley, will come in, and Tank arrives. At the top of the order, you got the left-handed bat of Niger Morgan, then the switch-hitting Christian Guzman. It's been a nice rebound for Tank, coming off of the major elbow surgery. The troubles that he had in 2008. His elbow actually fractured. Not a lot of elasticity in those elbows, and so they had to put it back together with a couple of screws. Long road back. That's not a surgery. I mean, we see guys like JJ or other pitchers, Tim Hudson, come back from Tommy John surgery, and you think every surgery can be overcome. But the one Tank had was pretty intense.
Yeah, the ligament replacement now has become so, I don't want to say routine, but they've done so many of them, I think they've got it down to where most pitchers, if rehabbed correctly, are probably stronger after the surgery than they are before.
You see his career numbers. out of the gates his rookie season in 06, very good, and a solid 07, but 08, he just didn't have it. And tried to pitch through it. It was a kind of a constant pain. Count 2-1.
And Marlins are in desperate need of a consistent lefty in this bullpen right now.
Two-one. Good pitch in on the hands of Morgan.
With Dan Meyer going out now, Tank is the lone lefty in the Marlins bullpen now, so Edwin's got a lot of managing to do, knowing that this is his only shot because Tank is a 1 or 2 hitter pitcher when he comes in. His role is to get 1 or 2 guys out.
In a division that has a lot of good left-handed hitters. Adam Dunn on this ball club. You've got the Phillies that has a lineup loaded with good lefties. There's the breaking ball. Cody is under it. Gonzalez is running. Ross's throw is not in time. A one-hop throw, and that hop was a little high. And I think that allowed Gonzalez enough room to slide underneath it.
I think it surprised Cody a little bit, too. I don't think he expected him to run. He just kind of coasted into that throw right there instead of really getting behind him and expecting him to run.
Tank gets his out and now takes his bows. Marooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Marooney!
Is about to make his major league debut, and nobody knows more about the Marlins minor leagues than Frank Fort. Frank, what can you tell us about this guy?
I actually saw him pitch in Jupiter this year, Rich. I was up there doing a story on Ron Hasse, the single-A manager in Jupiter. Mourinho's got in a game up there against Fort Myers, and I was just blown away by the velocity on his pitches. He was up 97, 98, and the kid weighs like 170 pounds. But he's got that really whippy arm action, and he's a very highly rated prospect. Only 14 games at Double-A, but he got a chance to save some games there. In Jupiter, they have trouble scoring runs, so he wasn't in a lot of save situations, but he has been pitching as a closer for most of the year. Edwin Rodriguez says he's going to spot him, not try to put too much pressure on the kid.
And he makes his major league debut and gets an out to finish off the 7th inning. Good stuff for the 21-year-old out of the Dominican Republic, Jan Marinez. Florida tonight. First look at Steven Strasburg, and he's hanging out in the dugout. Strasburg, of course, the first overall pick in the 2009 draft. The 10th overall pick is coming in the ball game. First, this defensive note. Alberto Gonzalez stays in the game, and he's at second. And here's the guy we were talking about. 10th overall, Drew Storen. And Storen has rocketed to the big leagues. Just a short stay in the minors. He was an All-American at Stanford, where he went a combined 12-4 with 15 saves, leading Stanford to the NCAA tournament. Became Stanford's 23rd first-round selection.
The old Pac-10 out there, producing some pretty good baseball.
Your former conference at UCLA Bruin is Jeff Conine. Here's Stanton. And a fastball backs him up. The count's 2-0. Stanton flied out and bounced out. Strasburg did strike out 7. But he also walked 3, and I don't think was as overpowering as many people expected. Stanton pops that one up. And Alberto Gonzalez is pressed into action. But I think it underlines the fact, Jeff, that it's almost impossible for Strasburg to live up to the hype and all the hoopla around his arrival in the big leagues. I mean, he comes out of this ballgame with 6 shutout innings, and yet you watch him and you think he didn't have his best stuff tonight.
Yeah. Lowers his ERA to 2.03, and I think some people might go home disappointed. Well, with the whole Scott Boras representing him and the whole contract negotiations and reports saying that he was going to ask for $50 million out of the gate, and I think that just kind of almost created a legend before he even got here.
I think the Nationals have handled him very well, and I think Strasburg has handled himself very well.
Which, talking to the players and seeing what kind of makeup he has and what kind of character he has, kind of fits into that bill. How he's really handled this situation so well, is not even going to be 21 years old. There he is in the dugout watching the ball game. Love to see that when the starting pitcher's lifted. He doesn't disappear in the clubhouse. He comes out to watch his team. That'll end next year probably, but
he wants to see Drew Storen pitch. Counts 2-2 to Paulino. And this is the bridge that the Nationals are trying to build between Matt Capps and who knows, Storen may be the closer before too long as well. Burke Badenhop in the Marlins bullpen. Green 2. Ronnie singled against Strasburg back in the second. That second inning, the Marlins had a couple of hits. Had runners at second and third. You see Mike Lamb on deck. Chris Coughlin bounced out to end the inning. Marlins had 2 runners in the first. And that is strike 3. Storen's been impressive.
set up away. I think Ronnie was looking away, and everyone got fooled on that one. And strike three in the inside corner. You don't see a whole lot of movement off Storen's ball. It looks like it's pretty straight, but he's got extra location.
Here now is Lamb. Pinch hitting in the pitcher spot. Storen is out of Brownsburg, Indiana, and then ended up at Stanford. And he was a mechanical engineering major at Stanford, which I think trumps your, what was it, astrophysics major at UCLA?
How does that trump that?
Because you weren't an astrophysics major, were you? Come on, come clean.
No, but everyone that we're talking to didn't know that. You could have played along.
I'm still trying to get your Hall of Fame bat back for you. Niger Morgan runs that one down in a nice 1-2-3 inning. Impressive from Drew Storen. Many people came out to see him. Steven Strasburg, unsteady early, but found his groove. And once he did, the Marlins couldn't touch him. The soon-to-be 22-year-old right-hander struck out 7 through a career-high 99 pitches. And it's 4-0. Nationals on top. Bert Badenhop becomes reliever number 4. Sanchez, Tankersley, Marinez, and now the hopper. Cantu. Zimmerman is 1 for 4.
That is one nice luxury after an all-star break, is you've got everyone in your pen is refreshed and ready to go.
Here's Adam Dunn. Dunn tonight has been a pain in the neck. 2 for 2 with a walk.
Career-wise, Dunner's not much of an average hitter. Usually he's 250 or below, and this year he's close to 300. Having an excellent year.
What's gotten into the big man?
Maybe free agency coming up. I don't know. Just a stab.
His on base percentage is .372. He's always walked a lot, but of course has struck out a lot, and he lines it to left.
I think Gunnar was happy when
Mark Reynolds got in the league.
Mark Reynolds got in the league, and E.J. Upton. He's in third right now behind those two.
Justin Upton.
Justin Upton, sorry.
We'll play Name That Upton later. Yeah, Dunn is third in strikeouts behind Reynolds and Upton. The Marlins just saw those two. Here's Willingham. It's been an interesting night for Willingham. Facing Ricky Nolasco. Nolasco struck him out with runners on base in the first and the fourth. But with the bags loaded in the sixth, hanging breaking ball, and Hammer didn't miss it. And that got the Nationals started. Our Coors Light Cold Hard Blast. Willingham now 31, Florence, Alabama. Of course, the Marlins drafted him in the 17th round out of the University of North Alabama. Cantu. That's a strong inning from Badenhop. Doing what the Hopper does best. 3 ground ball outs. To debut following this ball game. A behind-the-scenes look at the Marlins and the Mets series in Puerto Rico. It's coming up inside the Marlins. It's immediately following our telecast, immediately following Marlins Live, 4-0. Nationals on top. Marlins need some runs, and they need them fast because Drew Storen cut right through him in the 7th inning, and now he gets the top of the order in the 8th, and you've got the all-star Matt Capps waiting in the wings. Coghlan, Gabby, and Hanlon. We told you earlier that Edwin Rodriguez over the break tinkered with the lineup. And what he really wanted to do was put Chris Coghlan in the 2 spot. He feels that Coghlan really profiles as a number 2 hitter. But the problem is the Marlins don't have in their starting lineup anyone that is a better leadoff hitter than Coghlan in terms of on-base percentage and speed. They toyed with Gabby Sanchez, flip-flopping the 2. Coghlan lines out, moving Gabby to the leadoff spot and bringing Coghlan back to 2. And that is something that you never know. We may see in the weeks to come.
Then you might think that, Hanley Ramirez led off for most of his career up until last year or so. But then what do you do with your number 3 hole? I think I think personally that what they've got right now is about the best case scenario of what you're going to get out of this lineup until, you know, someone emerges as a bona fide leadoff hitter that can prove he can get on base and steal bases. I think Gabby's done a tremendous job in that 2-hole.
Right.
Because of the way he takes pitches, because of the way he handles the bat, can hit behind runners, can bunt every once in a while, puts the ball in play, doesn't strike out much.
And Edwin said, as he taps that one back to Storen, Edwin said earlier in many of the lineup scenarios that he had, Gabby was in the 3 spot. And he said you could put Gabby in the 3, 4, or 5 spot.
Yeah, I think that would give him a lot more opportunities to drive in some runs for one.
Here comes
you're not really worried about speed from Gabby Sanchez in those spots either. 2-hole, I mean, you know, it's a very important spot in the lineup, and you know, you go back to the 03 season. I think Luis Castillo was the perfect number 2 hitter. He could take a walk, he could bunt, he could hit behind the runner. He's fast. That was just a perfect combo, him and Montpierre at the top of that order.
Well, the Marlins certainly are seeing the best arms that the Nationals have in Game 1 of this series, in Strasburg and now Storen. And in all likelihood, Caps at the end.
If he gets another out, you're going to see Caps at the end, and that's as good as it gets for the Nationals.
Breaking ball misses inside. There he is, the All-Star.
Oh, the Nationals could be kind of a spoiler down the stretch. They've got some arms that have been injured a lot of the year that could come back late in the season and really wreak havoc among teams that are trying to make it to the playoffs.
That fastball is up. Well, I mean, if you want to make an argument for the toughest division in the National League, in terms of teams that are over 500, you look at the National League West, because the Marlins are under 500. And there are 4 teams in the National League West that are over 500. But sometimes you measure a division's strength by not only its top, but also its bottom. And in terms of the basement, this is the Nationals have the best record of any last-place team in the 3 divisions in the National League.
By 4 games. It's not even really close.
Steve McCaddy is on his way out. In fact, the Nationals have the best record of any last-place team in baseball, which tells you that they really aren't a pushover. They're not a patsy. And it seems like every division has at least one of those. When your division doesn't have one of those, that means those 18 games that you played against that team are going to be a lot tougher than the Baltimores, the Seattles, the Pittsburghs, the Houstons, the Arizonas. Even Milwaukee and Chicago in the National League are 10 games under.
And Chicago's in 3rd place in that division. Almost the identical record to the Nationals in last place in this division.
Storen against Ugla. And Dan hits a high pop-up. And with 2 outs, Hanley's not running. And neither was Ugla. Wow. Nationals, our Toyota trend. Marlins have scored 10 runs or more in a home game only once in the last 21 games. Just 4.29 runs per game at home, 20th in all of baseball since the 17th. That goes back to the inconsistencies that we talked about. Pudge, Bernardina, and Desmond in the 9th. Cantu far to his left and got him. Nice play. Gabby kept his toe on it. Pudge isn't so sure, and he's going to argue with it with Dan Radisson, the first base coach.
I think he came off and then came back on. See, he's off there and he pushes it back. Did he get it in time?
No. A break for the Fish. Riggleman went out just for a cursory up, probably more to show some support to Pudge and some respect to him. But with a 4-0 lead, he's not going to get tossed out of the game or do anything silly.
No. And I think managers know pretty much that they've got a lost cause when they go out there. It's not like they can ask for help from another umpire to change the call.
Liner to left. Hopper has 2 quick outs here in the 9th inning. Fox Saturday Baseball. Evan Longoria and the Rays in New York to take on Mark Teixeira and the Yankees. Great matchup in the American League East. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Taco Bell returns this week at 4 Eastern.
Nice to see Hopper having a good outing. He was really a huge part of this Marlins bullpen last year and filled a number of roles from long to short whenever they needed somebody to go a couple more innings, and he filled that role great and has struggled a little bit early this year, but he'll be a big part of the second half if he can get back on track.
To center, and Cody is there. It's a 7-pitch inning and 2 scoreless in the book for Burke Badenhop. Last swings for the Fish. Save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com. Call 800-947-AUTO. We've reached the bottom of the 9th, 4-0. Washington on top. We have yet to run into a checkers double of the game, so how about a checkers double play of the game? A strike them out, throw them out. Ronnie Polino throwing out Ian Desmond. At the time, a big play for Ricky Nolasco in a scoreless duel between he and Steven Strasburg. It went that way until the 6th when the Nationals got 4 against Nolasco. Another inning of Strasburg, 2 of Drew Storen, and now Matt Capps. Another product of suburban Atlanta, that East Cobb baseball program. Capps along with Brian McCann, Jeff Francoeur, Jeremy Hermida. There's a long list of guys from that neck of the woods. One of the best youth baseball programs in the country. Cantu, center field. Morgan tracking, makes the catch.
Big part of the yard. You notice Cap's all-star team appearance. You flash his numbers up there. You see opponent's batting average of 297, which is very high for a closer.
Well, high for a closer. His ERA is just over 3. It helps that in 41 appearances, he's walked only 7.
That does help a lot. That's the old whip stat that they've come up with now. Walks and hits per innings pitched, which I think is a great stat because it really shows you how many batters are being allowed on base.
Let's see, a Cody Ross model with a little bit of pine tar.
Maybe that guy knows where my bat is.
Cody's going to let that one go. You got a new one? Some guys will exchange that for their gamer. I think the event supervisor is telling him, look, we've got to confiscate the bat because we can't have you in the stadium with the bat, but we'll give it to you when the game is over. That's the standard operating procedure in every ballpark in the big leagues.
And why they don't have miniature bat giveaway night anymore.
They used to have regulation bat giveaway nights and giveaway bat. I mean, bat day was a big day.
Yeah,
growing up.
Or baseball day, give away baseballs.
Yeah, something went terribly wrong along the road, and they stopped those type of giveaways. Although, you know, some teams have those giveaways. They give those to the fans on their way out.
Exit giveaways. That's what they call those. I was in Oakland and playing against the old Bash brothers, and Jose Canseco had a call that didn't go his way, and he got thrown out of the game. And it was ball giveaway night that night, and it started raining baseballs on the field.
Nice.
So I ran as fast as I could to second base.
Here's Mike Stanton. Why did you think second base was the best place to be?
I figured that was about as far as anybody could throw it. It would take the best arm to hit me if I was standing on second base.
The good thing about Oakland is there's plenty of foul ground.
Buffer zones.
0-1 to Stanton. Capps. And it's foul back, and it's 0-2. And the Nationals are a strike away from opening up this second half with their 3rd shutout of the season. Oh, 2. Ooh. Didn't miss by much. In fact, it didn't miss at all. And Stanton better be swinging at anything close here. Close, but it looked out, and it's 2-2.
And it was out. It's a good eye right there. That's about an inch out. And with the last call before that, usually what we call a makeup call is given the next pitch if it's close.
Caps has gone 3-2. As we told you, he's only walked 7 all year. In fact, of the 7 that he's walked, 3 are intentional.
That's impressive. 4 pitched walks this year.
Or unintentional walks.
Unintentional walks.
Well, you never know. He might have been pitching around a guy there, too. 3-2. He throws it right down the middle.
This goes to show you, kids, when you throw strikes, it's still a very difficult thing to do, is put that ball in play. Dennis Eckersley was a master at that, completing the entire season with 10 or 12 walks. Great at bat.
There you go. Stan got a couple of breaks on a couple of pitches, and Caps with what, his 5th unintentional walk of the season
in 40-plus innings. Brett Saberhagen one year had more wins than walks as a starting pitcher. He had 15 wins in the season and 14 walks on the season.
He was pretty good.
He was pretty good.
He's one of those pitchers that wasn't able to, I guess, at the tail end of his career, keep it rolling.
Right.
He just essentially broke down from all the pitches that he threw, the violent action that he had.
For a 5 or 6 year stretch, he was about as good as you could get in the game.
Yeah, Brett Saberhagen in 16 seasons was 167 and 117 with a 3.34 ERA. Paulino cranks it up the middle. Gonzalez makes a terrific play and gets Stanton. And the Nationals impressively come in here. A little bit of Strasburg, a little bit of Hammer, and our South Florida Ford spotlight of the game shines on Josh Willingham. It was his 3-run double that broke a scoreless game and helped knock Ricky Nolasco out and helped beat the Fish. Marlins Live is coming up.